Hi, fifth graders. Today is lesson 16-2, Classifying Quadrilaterals. Today will be a lot like yesterday. I will ask you to pause the video, write down the vocab words and the definitions, draw an example, and then push play again when you're ready. So the first thing you need to know is what a quadrilateral is. It is a figure with four sides. So you can see all of these different figures down here. They all have four sides. Now I don't need you to draw all of them right now, but I do want you to pause, write down the word and the definition, and then push play when you're ready. Okay, next up we have a trapezoid. A trapezoid has one pair of parallel sides. A trapezoid is a quadrilateral because it has four sides. Parallel means two lines that are across from each other and don't intersect. So there at the bottom, I put a couple of examples of parallel lines for you. The lines could go on and on and on forever and never cross, never intersect. Now a trapezoid has one pair of those. I put on the blue lines, those are the parallel sides that if they kept going on and on forever, they would never intersect, okay? So both of those are examples of trapezoids. Go ahead and pause the video, write down the definition, and draw an example. Play when you're ready. Okay, next up we have a parallelogram. A parallelogram is also a quadrilateral because it has four sides. And this means that two pairs of opposite sides that are parallel and equal in length, or that's what a parallelogram has. So I kind of drew on there for you so you could see the opposite sides. So the blues are opposite sides and the reds are opposite sides. And you can tell that the two opposite sides are parallel. They would never cross if the lines kept going. And they're also equal in length. So the blue sides are equal in length, and then the two red sides are equal in length already. Or also, I don't know why I said already. So parallelograms always have opposite sides parallel, opposite sides equal. Go ahead and pause the video, write that down, and push play when you're ready. Okay, next up we have a rectangle. And a rectangle has four right angles. We learned yesterday that right angles are 90 degrees, and they're shown by those little squares. And so rectangles have four of those. Each angle is a right angle. Pause the video, write that down, draw your example, and push play when you're ready. Next up, we have a rhombus. And a rhombus means all sides are the same length. So they can look differently, as you can tell in the picture, but all four sides are the same length. Still a quadrilateral, still has four sides, but all four sides are the same length. Pause the video, write that down, draw an example, and push play when you're ready. Okay, and finally we have squares. Squares have four right angles and all sides are the same length. Still a quadrilateral because it has four sides, but it has four right angles, 90 degrees, and four sides that are the same length. Pause the video, write that down, draw your example, and push play when you're ready. Okay, I have one more thing to show you. Let me try to get this bigger. Okay, so right here you can see my little anchor chart. And we kind of have this kind of like a tree, a quadrilateral tree. So trapezoid goes to one side and parallelogram goes to the other. Trapezoid, you'll notice that there's nothing beneath that. It's just kind of on its own, and it means that it has one pair of parallel sides. So there's just two sides that are parallel. Now a parallelogram is different because opposite sides are parallel. It has two pairs of parallel sides. Now if you can see under them, rectangles, rhombuses, and squares are actually all parallelograms. Because all of those also have opposite sides that are parallel, okay? If you look at the very bottom at square, square can be a rectangle because it has 4 right angles. A square can also be a rhombus because it has 4 equal sides, okay? So if you start from the bottom and you go up, you can see all of the things it can be. So a square can be a rectangle, a parallelogram, and a quadrilateral. If you were to start with rhombus, a rhombus can be a parallelogram moving up and a quadrilateral, okay? All right, let's do some practice. Okay, so the directions say in 3 through 6, use as many names as possible to identify each polygon and tell which name is the most specific, okay? So for number 3, we know all of these are going to be a quadrilateral. I'm not going to show you my bad handwriting, so I'm just going to write a Q for quadrilateral, okay? So it's quadrilateral. Now, if I'm looking at this, I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to look at what is down next. So when I look at this picture, when I look at this yellow thing, I'm like, okay, I think that's a square. But I also have to tell what else it can be. So if I start down here with square, it can also be a rectangle and a rhombus and a parallelogram and a quadrilateral, okay? So parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel. Yes, that's correct in this. Opposite sides are parallel, okay? So I'll write a P for parallelogram. Next up, rectangle, 4 right angles. Yes, you can tell that each of these angles are 90 degrees, so it can be a rectangle. Next up, rhombus means there are 4 equal sides. This definitely has 4 equal sides, so it can be a rhombus. And finally, a square has 4 equal sides and 4 right angles, so it can be a square. And it asks which name is the most specific. Square would be the most specific name. Okay, next up, when I see number 4, that reminds me of a rectangle because there are 4 right angles. But I need to look at what else a rectangle can be. So here's my rectangle. When I go up, it can also be a parallelogram because opposite sides are parallel. And then it's definitely a quadrilateral because there are 4 sides. So I'm going to write down that it's a Q, quadrilateral, it's a P, parallelogram, and it is a rectangle. Oops. And then rectangle would be that most specific description. Real quick, I want to point out rectangle and rhombus. They cannot be each other because a rectangle does not have 4 equal sides and a rhombus does not have to have 4 right angles. Okay, so that's why the parallelogram splits into 2 because rectangles and rhombuses aren't the same. All right, I'm going to go ahead and erase that. Okay, next up. All right, I see what to me looks like a rhombus because the sides look equal. Okay, however, there's not 4 right angles, so it's not a square. So if I look down here at rhombus, then I'm going to go up. 4 equal sides, yes. Opposite sides are parallel, yes. And 4 sides, yes. So it is a quadrilateral, 4 sides. It is a parallelogram. Opposite sides don't touch, never would. And the most specific name is it's a rhombus. Okay. And finally, the last one. As I look at this, I don't see right angles, which means not a rectangle or a square. I also don't see 4 equal sides, which means not a rhombus. So that just leaves parallelogram. My opposite sides are parallel, and my opposite sides are equal. Okay, so it's a quadrilateral because it has 4 equal sides, but it's also parallelogram. And parallelogram's my most specific name for it. Okay, a couple more problems. We're going to kind of just talk through a couple of these. So number 9 says, why is a square also a rectangle? So I'm going to look at this, and I'm going to see square, here's square, here's rectangle. So a rectangle has 4 right angles. So I look down. Does a square have that? Yes, a square has 4 right angles. So a square is also a rectangle because it has 4 right angles. Okay. Number 10. What special quadrilateral is both a rectangle and a rhombus? So I'm going to look back. What is a rectangle and a rhombus? Well, if I go down to each of those, I get a square. And the reason is because the square has 4 right angles and it also has 4 equal sides. Okay, square because it has 4 right angles, just like a rectangle, and it has 4 equal sides, just like a rhombus. Okay, all right. One more probably took away my pen. Let's get it back. Okay. Number 17. Which quadrilateral could have the side lengths 1 meter, 5 meters, 1 meter, 5 meters? Okay, so I already know that it can't be a square because that has to have all the same side lengths. I also know it can't be a rhombus because that has to have all the same side lengths too. So that leaves me rectangle and trapezoid. Now, if I think of a rectangle, I think of opposite sides being equal. So if this was 1, 5, 1, 5, like the question says, that would make sense. Now I'll try to think of like a trapezoid. When I look at that, I mean, maybe these two would be the same. So like maybe this could be 1 and 1, but definitely the top and the bottom couldn't be the same length. So that one doesn't make as much sense. So my answer would be a rectangle. Okay. All right. Use these practice problems to help you on your own problems that you will do today.